Here we go. I'm Max Ada, and these are my children. Here's a week in review. We're going to go through a couple good training lifts and some points that we went through this week. First up is Colin Burns. This is a 160 kilo snatch, I think. Yep. If the color code's still the way it was when I lifted, that's 160. So pretty routine 160 for Colin. He's been hitting this basically every time he's taken it this week. The last few heavier snatch sessions have been pretty good. Despite making good lifts, Colin always has the same look on his face every time. Just kind of being Colin. But pretty solid snatching for him. He's been doing a lot more singles in the snatch to warm up before some of his heavier work, and that's been going really well for him. Here's some other snatch accessory stuff Colin's been doing to keep his shoulders healthy. These are, as I was corrected earlier, these are snatch push presses. Unnecessary to put behind the head in the title of that. And if you do, it's just redundant. So that's 155 kilos, set of 4 from Colin. What is your best on that? Maybe 170? 70-ish, yeah. So
77, sorry.
Pretty solid. You know, nothing really super important. Some of the key points are just lowering the bar properly. Colin's athletic and has a pretty good sense of that. He keeps his elbows in good position, his shoulders in good position when he presses it overhead. We've had Travis Cooper, Kristin Pope, and Julie Jaworski came out this week. I'll show you some of Cooper's lifts. Cooper squatted, well, he just did 210 for 5 today, but this was earlier this last week. Yeah, did 200 for 5. He's just trying to get back in shape. Had a little hamstring tear, maybe just even a strain. How long ago was that? About 2 months?
Yeah, about 8 weeks ago.
8 weeks ago, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he hadn't been able to squat hard for a while, and you know, it kind of shows up. Cooper is definitely a strong squatter, and I think derives a lot of the power in his lifts from his strength in the squats. And you know, when you can't squat and that's how you lift, it takes a little bit of a toll on the strength, or at least how strong you feel. The other stuff Cooper's been working on a lot is just working at making some corrections for his overhead position, trying to fix his shoulder and stuff. If you look at his right arm, he used to have you know, a lot of kind of funky things going on with it, where the position of it would just be off, or it wouldn't stay, you know, exactly locked out the way you wanted. And so he's been doing stuff like some overhead squats, pausing in the bottom position of the jerk when he receives the weight. And you know, I was surprised actually Cooper hadn't really done a lot of overhead squatting in the past. Is that correct?
Yeah, not traditionally a whole lot of it, so it's definitely been helping.
Yeah, so you know, incorporating more of that into his stuff to just kind of fix little things, because he's kind of early in the, you know, we're early in the quad, and it's a good time for people to kind of step back and take, you know, a long-term approach to adjusting some of those things. Here's those jerks we talked about where he's pausing in the split position. And you know, it's a really simple thing. It's not like there's a lot to it. It's just taking the extra time to, you know, fix the bar where you want it and spend time in positions that are good and that you want to reinforce. You know, it's really common for lifters to jerk or to snatch and to just kind of, you know, drop the bar halfway up, or just kind of be lazy about the top position, or not really spend time recovering completely in the jerk or being consistent in that split position. Pump, you know, he's been working some doubles the last, during this block, and this is a series of doubles he did, all about 130. I took one more at 135 at the end here, and it's pretty solid. It took him a few sets to kind of get warmed up. Certainly not the best of his sets, but you know, overall, you know, he makes some nice adjustments. That one was just a little forward. If you watch, you know, the second rep here, he comes up and passes his knees and kind of pushes himself forward towards the bar a little bit. I think he was really excited about that after he made that. You know, later in the week, he worked some singles and came out with this 150, pretty solid, pretty easy for pump. You know, he's still pretty fatigued because he's been squatting really hard recently, but a nice adjustment at the bottom, turned the bar over all the way. Wasn't super happy about it, but, you know, you can't always get exactly what you want out of everything.
Dang, is Colin wearing off on me?
Colin rubbing off on Pomp. A lot of that when you're fatigued, your speed goes, and when you're a little bit slow under the bar, it kind of comes down on you more. And Pomp has a really good bottom position, so the bar is gonna always be high enough when he pulls it. It's just a matter of how fast he turns it over and how quick he is to actually fix the weight overhead. Got one lift of Jilly. Jilly did a lot of like just singles. So did Kristin. They did a lot of singles and just kind of watching their movements, watching what happens when they break down. We did a few little adjustments with her jerk and stuff, but in general, she just did a lot of practice, a lot of things to kind of look at positions and see how she lifts. She's not actually holding the bar up there, she let it go. But you know, that was just a pretty routine 90 kilos for her. Pope did the same kind of stuff. Here's a miss at 89. This would have been a PR for her, but it was, you know, you can say close. The definition I was always told of a close lift is one white light. But, you know, right there, just a little bit off, a little out of position. But she's made some big improvements in her positioning. I think she made 83 here. This is a successful one. Pretty solid. Oh, that one was the adjustment, right? So in that one, you know, same, the pull was a little bit off. I think this is like the third day in a row of heavy snatching. So, you know, I had to adjust a little bit. Not the best, but certainly not the worst, and made a lot of technical improvements that, you know, you're not gonna see within 3 days, but you do get a chance to actually see those things manifest themselves later. And then speaking of making some nice improvements, Courtney has changed a lot of stuff from how she lifted when she first came out and first started working with her. She used to have a dynamic start in the snatch where she'd drop down really quick. And one of the problems with that was that she'd sometimes leave the bar out in front of her when she pulled. We started initially to stop her doing a dynamic start and have her just start from a static position. And now the goal of that is generally to just have people learn the start position better and become comfortable with it. When she first did it, she could barely do 70 kilos. Now, you know, she's hitting 83 and it's looking rock solid. The other correction was kind of bringing the bar onto her hips a little bit more aggressively, so she gets a better second pull. And obviously that's a really easy snatch, really solid. 83 at 53 is a really good snatch. And she's obviously good for a lot more. And the other thing we worked on a lot was, you know, her jerk technique, because before the jerks would oftentimes go forward, or she'd be pushing herself behind the bar when she actually went under the weight. So, you know, we've worked just a lot on separating her arms and her legs from each other when she drives. So she drives with her legs, then pushes with her arms at the right time. Because the drive would be straight, but then she'd push on her arms too hard and put the bar in front of her, what looks like putting the bar in front of her. In reality, she's pushing herself behind the weight. And so, you know, there was a bunch of other things actually kind of happening there. When you push at the arms too early, your body wants to find somewhere to brace against to press on it. You can't press something if you're in midair. So she would start pushing her arms too early, and this would basically have like a chain reaction to where she would put her front foot down really soon before she actually pressed on it. And this is 100 kilos for a double from the rack, which is a solid weight, solid workout for her. But you can see both feet have landed basically the same time, and her arms are, you know, here before she's even trying to lock them. It was a really good position. This is a really good set for her. Overall, very solid. The set before this was even nicer. It was really, really solid, triple at 95. But this is a good example of, you know, heavy weights being, you know, the technique has changed now even with these heavy weights, and she's doing a good job with positioning and timing and coordinating, you know, the use of her legs and arms at the right time. Her footwork improves, all those things. Plus the confidence is there too, you know. Putting 100 kilos on and taking it for a double when your jerk is not, you know, it's not the thing that you feel is something you can rely on, or you don't feel like it's been a solid lift of yours for a long time. Making that improvement is really good. So yeah, I mean, I think overall everyone's in good shape. We're about 7 weeks out from the American Open right now, just looking at ramping up as we go, peaking at the right time so everyone's in top shape at the actual competition. So pretty solid so far. You guys feeling pretty good? You having fun over there? Yeah, pretty solid week in review.